Elden Ring is awesome. I've been playing this for the last few days in the closed network test on PlayStation 5. And we're going to be looking at some highlights here. I've left out all of the story cutscenes and moments because I don't want to spoil that for anyone that might want to play this themselves when it eventually comes out. So we'll be taking on a few bosses, mini bosses, also the main boss of the area in the closed network test as well. If you're watching this video, you may already know what Elden Ring is, but if you didn't, it's a game by From Software. They're famous for Demon Souls, Dark Souls games, Bloodborne, Sekiro, and their latest project is this, Elden Ring. It's taking that Dark Souls formula and making it open world. So you dropped into a massive map, and this is only a portion of the world that you'll see in this video, and then you're free to explore really. Go around on foot, you can sprint, you can jump, you can also summon a steed, ride around on horseback for a bit, get you around faster from A to B, and you can fight while on the horse. There's some really awesome combat opportunities here, especially when fighting the bigger enemies. For example, a dragon. It's pretty awesome. Using a sword, using a bow and arrow, whatever it is, it's incredibly cinematic. When you start the game, you can pick between 5 different classes or archetypes. You've got the warrior, the enchanted knight, the prophet, the champion, and the bloody wolf. I went with the bloody wolf just because I think they look the coolest and they're all about swords and shields, and you can also two-hand that sword, putting out some massive damage. You're not locked into that archetype though, and it really just defines your starting gear and stats. For example, vigor, strength, mind, intelligence, dexterity, and then you can level those stats up at sites of grace throughout the game using runes that you've either collected from rune stones or from enemies that you've defeated. But if you die, you'll lose all of the runes that you haven't spent, but you do have one opportunity to go back and collect them. But if you die again while you're trying to retrieve them, you'll lose those forever. I wanted to show a bit of a mix of gameplay in this one. So this is typically what the open world gameplay looks like. You can just roam around, discover things, you can fight mobs that might be at campsites or roaming around the world. Could be lesser mobs that are a bit of a walkover, but you'll also be fighting harder enemies, and there are certain areas of the map, of course, where you'll find foes or mini bosses, and if you beat them, typically you'll get a better upgrade for your character. There is a main quest as well, and you see here we've got this gold wispy stuff in the air. If you're lost and you don't know how to progress, that will guide you towards the main missions in a way. But this is a site of grace, and these can be used as fast travel points, but as I just mentioned, you can also level up and adjust your stats here. You can mix different things in your flasks to create certain effects. You can modify the Ashes of War on your weapons and gear, and also memorize spells. So in here, myself and Tommy, you can play co-op. I think it's up to 4 players. We just did a bit of exploring and we found a cave. There are caves or dungeons scattered around everywhere. You go down them through the mist, and inside you'll find all sorts of horrible monstrums and enemies to fight. The combat itself, if you've played any of the Souls games, you'll feel right at home here. So you've got your stamina, you've got block, parry, roll, light attack, heavy attack. You've also got ranged weapons, and now you can jump too. And with that jump, you can do jump attacks, and they cause a lot of stagger effect or stagger damage to enemies, and that will give you an opportunity to deal a ton of damage. Incredibly useful versus some of the bosses. But the jump also enables some extra exploration opportunities that we haven't really had before in these type of games. So it's definitely a welcome feature for me. Stealth as well, it's an option. Crouching around, staying in the long grass and weeds. Enemies won't be able to detect you as easily, and you'll have the opportunity to get those big stealth attacks in. I found this giant enemy crab. Look at its massive claws. Just down on the beach here. Some of the designs of the creatures are fantastic, but I had to take out that because I can't have that existing. I'm sorry. Even its spawn, they've got to go too. I mean, I've not played many of the Souls games. I've dabbled in most of them here and there. The one that I played the most was actually Demon Souls on the PlayStation 3. I managed to finish that, and also I played the remake of that a little bit. But it's just cool to get into it again. And yes, it's incredibly punishing, and sometimes it can be frustrating, but that's the whole point, isn't it? You try and beat these creatures that have unpredictable vicious attack cycles and patterns, and you go again and again and again, and eventually you do beat them. It feels good. You get that reward, you move on to the next one, or you continue going through the story. There's just a big sense of satisfaction there. Also, there are now stakes in the ground which act as respawn points, and these are dotted around the world. If you die, you can respawn at a stake if there was one nearby, or you can choose to respawn at the last site of grace that you visited. But these stakes just allow you to get back into the action quicker. I think that's the whole point of it. Rather than respawning at a camp that's miles away, I feel like they've put these next to those big boss fights to alleviate some of that frustration when you might die and then you've just got a massive run to get back to where you were and collect your souls or your runes and then have another go at the boss, which you might die to instantly. So I appreciate the fact that those stakes are there now. The open world element too, because there's a bit of exploration now, it makes it more interesting for me. Like, I just found this random door at the bottom of a chasm which was filled with jellyfish, and inside there's a little dungeon with a boss, and there are these horrible stone creatures in here. It's called Murk Water Catacombs. There were some traps on the floor too, where if you stood on a certain area, fire arrows would come flying towards you, and if you don't react quick enough, you don't block that, you can end up taking a lot of damage. But this was the boss in here, the Grave Warden. They look like a gladiator, quite vicious to fight. I did use one of my ashes here though. You see that ghost thing there? That's the noble sorcerer. And they act as a great distraction if you need the enemy to take some aggro or get off your case for a sec while you heal. You can put that up. They also do a bit of damage too. Managed to finish him off there with a couple of light attacks. Everyone say goodbye to the Grave Warden. Now what you're about to see is the first, what I would consider, big boss of the game, or as they call it in this game, a great foe. And I presume that the closed network test is the starting area of the game. There'll probably be a bit more of an introduction, but this was the first major boss that I fought as I'm trying to push towards and get into the castle. This guy is called Margit the Fel Omen. It took me quite a few attempts to beat this dude. Now originally, I was using the Sorcerer Ashes, which you just saw, that old man who would do some ranged attacks, but against him, he was just pathetic, very weak, didn't really do much damage, not a great distraction. So I changed, I left the area, did a few upgrades, did a few dungeons, and came back with the Lone Wolf Ashes, and these spawn 3 wolves or dire wolves that will attack him, and they do a bit of chip damage, but more importantly, it's a big distraction, so it lets me get behind him, do some of those jump attacks, get a lot of stagger damage in, enabled me to eventually take this dude out. Right at the end of the fight here, I wasn't going to die. Quick heal, and then we'll get back into the fight. Yeah, annoying as hell to fight this guy. I'm sure if you're a veteran Souls player, this will be a doddle for you, but for me, many attempts were had. But feels good, man, when you finally get that kill. And then we can push up towards the castle. I included this bit here just because it looks so damn awesome and gothic. There is more after this though, but don't want to spoil it. Don't want to drag the video out too long. I had a blast with Elden Ring with the closed network test, and I'll definitely be playing it some more in the future. With that said, let me guys know what you think down in the comments below. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. If you didn't, a dislike. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one. Sorry, I forgot to add this. When I got to the top of the castle, I was attacked by a giant eagle with daggers on its talons. I've never seen anything more horrific than that. Right, I'm off. Bye.